Michelle, do you mind closing the back door? Just because it echoes. Thank you. It might get a little warm in here.
30. 20. 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Welcome.
I'm Ashley Evans, Project Manager of Customer Experience and Innovation with the City of Hamilton's Transit Division. Thank you for joining us today at our annual Transit Public Event for Accessibility. This event is held as part of our commitment to the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act and serves as an opportunity for us to not only share updates, but to hear your valuable feedback and questions. We want to ensure that public transit in Hamilton is accessible to all members of our community, and your input plays a critical role in shaping our services. For those unable to join us today, the event is being live streamed on the City of Hamilton's YouTube channel, where it will remain available for future viewing. I'd like to begin with our land acknowledgement. The City of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. The land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase, 1792, between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Today, the City of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, North America, and we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbors, partners, and caretakers. I'd like to take a moment to thank our ASL interpreters, Rachel and Sarah, and our captioner, Denise, who are helping ensure that this event is accessible for those with hearing loss. We will also do our best to maintain a pace that supports interpretation and captioning, and we welcome feedback from our interpreters and captioners if we need to adjust. A special thanks to Cable 14 for assisting in bringing this live broadcast to you today. Our event will begin with a formal presentation from our panel of experts. Following that, we'll open the floor for your questions. Please note that if you ask a question during the live stream, it will be recorded and saved on the City of Hamilton's YouTube channel. If you prefer to ask your question privately, feel free to wait until the end of the live stream, which will include around 7:15. Now let me introduce the members of our panel today. Maureen Cousin-Heath, Director of Transit. Owen Quinn, Project Manager with Accessible Transportation Services. James Kemp, Chair of the City of Hamilton's Advisory Committee for Persons with Disabilities. Mark Williams, Manager of Transit Operations. Jeff Polanski, Manager of Fleet Maintenance. Michelle Martin, Manager of Accessible Transportation Services. Nancy Purser, Manager of Transit Support Services. Jason Vanderhyde, Manager, Transit Scheduling and Infrastructure. Nick Shalou, Manager of Transit Strategy and Planning. Ali Sabrin, Manager of Customer Experience and Innovation. We're also joined by Liz Spolador, Manager of Operations at DARTS, who can assist with questions later in the event. Before we start today's presentation, I'd like to hand things over to Maureen Cousin-Heath, to provide our opening remarks.
Thank you, Ashley, and good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today at our annual accessibility event. As the Director of Transit, I take pride in the service that we put on the road each and every day. I acknowledge that our service can continuously improve, and it is with that steadfast commitment to doing so that we work towards improved accessibility and access for all. I am joined here tonight by every member of the HSR management team who will each share with you what their respective areas do each day and how it directly contributes to accessibility for Hamiltonians. Again, welcome and thank you for sharing your time with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Maureen, for those opening remarks and highlighting the important work we're doing to make transit more accessible for everyone in our community. Next, we're going to take a closer look at both the HSR and accessible transportation services, how they are meeting the requirements of the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act as it relates to public transit. To guide us through this important topic, I invite Owen to join me at the podium.
Thank you, Ashley. Hello, my name is Owen Quinn. I'm a project manager with Accessible Transportation Services. I'm going to provide you with an overview of how the HSR and Accessible Transportation Services is meeting the AODA integrated accessibility standards as a transit provider. First of all, there's a requirement and purpose of today's meeting. The AODA, Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, requires that conventional transportation service providers, such as the HSR and City of Hamilton, do hold at least one public meeting annually. Also, conventional HSR and specialized transit services, which are known as ATS, Accessible Transportation Services, and DARTS, are also to be addressed in the city's accessibility plan. This plan identifies, removes, and prevents barriers for persons with disabilities. Also, persons with disabilities will have an opportunity to review and provide feedback on the accessibility of transit services. So this meeting will include an update from transit staff on accessibility achievements to date, and also AODA compliance. First of all, with respect to the conventional fixed route transit, HSR, buses, they're 100% accessible, so the entire fleet is accessible. Also, there are numerous accessible bus shelters available in the city. With respect to the accessibility plan, HSR is compliant in the following areas of the AODA. First of all, fares. Fares for persons with disabilities must be the same or less than fares for persons without disabilities. Also, no fare is charged for a support person. Pre-boarding announcements. Automated electronic pre-boarding announcements of the route, direction, and the next major stop also have to be on the buses. On-board announcements. So, there needs to be automated verbal announcements and electronic display of destination points or stops while the vehicle is en route. General responsibilities. This is in regard to deployment of lifting devices and ramps. There has to be adequate time for persons with disabilities to board and deboard the vehicles. Courtesy seating. So vehicles must have clearly marked priority and courtesy seating on vehicles for persons with disabilities. Allocated mobility aid spaces. So each vehicle requires that there be 2 spaces minimum on each bus to accommodate wheelchairs and scooters. Accessibility plans for conventional transit. There must be a process for managing and taking action on customer feedback, and also an annual meeting, such as today, on accessibility. And there also must be procedures to deal with accessibility equipment failures. So again, HSR does have an action plan for all of these. The last thing is bus stop and shelter design. So HSR does consult with the Advisory Committee for Persons with Disabilities regarding accessible bus stop design criteria. And there is an identified action plan to ensure that bus stops and shelters are accessible. In terms of specialized transit, this covers accessible transportation services, which would be the eligibility and registration process completed by ATS. This is in order to be eligible for DARTS. The trips themselves are delivered by DARTS Transit, and the DARTS fleet itself includes accessible vehicles with ramps. It also has non-accessible vehicles as well. In terms of the accessibility plan for the specialized transit in Hamilton, there's categories of eligibility. There's 3 categories of eligibility. So when a person applies, they could be unconditional, which means they're eligible for all trips on DARTS. Temporary. Conditional is the third one. That includes seasonal eligibility, where a person would be eligible to use DARTS during winter months. Fare parity. Fare parity must exist between conventional and specialized transit, which is basically the same fare structure, so that's in place. Also, with respect to support persons, no fare shall be charged for a support person. In terms of hours of service, DARTS, the specialized transit system, must have the same hours and days of service as conventional transit. Booking. In terms of booking trips, same-day service must be provided to the extent that's available. There also are accessible methods for booking reservations, so not just the telephone, but bookings can also be made through the DARTS webpage, through their website. Another area of compliance is coordinated service. So this is where you have connections with other specialized transportation services, like in adjacent municipalities. For example, DARTS has connections with the City of Burlington for their handy van service, so that's sort of the coordinated service between the 2 municipalities. Visitors. In terms of visitors, visitors are eligible for DARTS if they are registered for service in their home jurisdiction, and also if they meet the requirements for ATS eligibility as well. In terms of accessibility plans for specialized transit, there has to be a process for estimating demand and reducing wait times, which is in place. And also, again, similar to HSR, there have to be procedures to deal with accessibility equipment failures on vehicles. So again, ATS and DARTS are compliant in these areas. Excuse me. Comments and feedback. So HSR is continuing to accept comments, feedback, and questions until September 30th. So these can be submitted in person. Comment cards and surveys are available at the HSR Customer Service Center. That's at 36 Hunter Street East, the GO station. Also, any municipal service center, you will find these comment cards. Email, comments can be sent by email. The email address is ats@hamilton.ca. Phone, a person can also phone in there and voice their comments. That way, the telephone number is 905-529-1212. We also accept faxes if someone wishes to submit comments by fax. The fax number is 905-679-7305. And the last way to send comments is traditional method of mail. You could submit your comment cards to Accessible Transportation Services, care of 71 Main Street West, Hamilton, Ontario, L8P 4Y5. So again, we will repeat those contact forms later on. In terms of next steps, If you do require a copy of this presentation in an alternative format, such as print or braille, please contact ATS Customer Service. We can provide that to you. HSR staff will also review all the comments received for consideration and action. And because this is an annual meeting, the next transit accessibility public meeting will be held in 2025. So that will be in the news and the media. We'll keep you informed. So thank you for listening to this presentation and providing any comments or feedback.
What I was gonna say is, I like taking the city bus at this time of year. I do like taking dogs only in the wintertime, but, or late at night, like I come back from CCB, Community Council for the Blind, or like after 9, you know, like I go to Bartley and Agnes. I'll meet my friend James, I book darts for my friend to go to CCB, you know, the Bartley and Agnes, the Royal Canadian Legion, 1180. That's where I go to CCB.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We will have a question and answer period at the end of the presentations. So thank you, Owen, for that overview of how HSR and accessible transportation services are meeting AODA requirements. Next, we'll hear from James Kemp. James will share the committee's insights and perspectives on how we can continue to improve accessibility, ensure that transit services meet the needs of persons with disabilities. James?
Hello, everybody. My name is James Kemp, and I am the current chair of the Accessibility Committee for Persons with Disabilities, Accessibility. We are a subcommittee. We are a subcommittee of council that is tasked with advising on all matters pertaining to accessibility. We do our best to ensure the city is in compliance with the Ontario Disabilities Act, ODA, and the Accessibility for Ontario Disability Act, AODA. But we consider them bare minimum of accessibility standards. We recommend surpassing existing accessibility requirements wherever possible in order to make the city the best place to live, work, play, raise a child, and grow old in. We have a transportation working group that regularly meets with staff from HSR, ATS, and DARTS, among others, to address the transportation needs of persons with disabilities in the City of Hamilton. This covers transit, but also the accessible taxi program, taxi scripts, e-scooter, and e-cargo bike pilots, basically anything that affects us in any way during our daily travels. We are here today to speak about the HSR, ATS, and DARTS. Let's start with the HSR. There have been a number of policy changes that directly affect persons with disabilities recently. Front door entry and cancellation of the voluntary pay and no pay programs without appropriate accommodations to bus equipment, layout, and procedures has created barriers to us using the HSR. The HSR is providing training on how we should be able to use the bus in accordance with the front door boarding. A bus will be available outside when we are finished here. ATS and DARTS also have significant challenges that we would like to see improved, starting with 7-day booking. It is difficult to plan your week in advance, especially when dealing with unpredictable disabilities. The waiting for pickup and long circuitous routes of the shared ride system create challenges that people without disabilities do not have to consider. Even getting through on the phone can be difficult. We deserve an on-demand service. There are not enough accessible taxis to fill this role. I raise all these issues because I have to ask for your help. The City of Hamilton assesses the success of a program by the number of complaints they receive. We need people to complain about their experiences on transit and paratransit, even if it's a common problem or a long-standing design flaw. I know it can be difficult or perhaps embarrassing to take the time to report these issues, but your stories have immense value. I cannot stress enough how much we need to hear them to everyone's benefit. If you happen to have a great transit experience, we would like to hear about that too, so that we can replicate the conditions. You may file complaints not only through the HSR's customer service line, but also through the city's AODA office as they address accessibility issues in the City of Hamilton. In conclusion, we at the ACPD work best with community engagement, and I'm here to ask for exactly that. We can be reached officially through the clerk's office on the hamilton.ca website and by phone through the city switchboard. If you just want to ask us a question, we can be reached by email at info@hamiltonacpd.ca. We are at your disposal. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, James, for sharing those important perspectives and the role the advisory committee plays in guiding accessibility improvements. Now we'll shift our focus to the operational side of things. Mark Williams will walk us through the key measures and training practices in place for HSR operators to ensure that accessibility standards are met on a daily basis.
Good evening. Excuse me. Thank you, Ashley. HSR Operations is responsible for training new bus operators, the refreshing training of existing operators, and the supervision of in-service bus operators. During both types of training activities, our team ensures that while loading personal mobility devices, operators secure the bus using an emergency brake function, lower the ramp, allow the customers to navigate into the personal mobility device location, and get their devices set up. Once set up, the operators secure the device through the frame of the device, not around any removable parts or across any body parts. We encourage operators to confirm with the customer before we secure them if there is a preferred way. We will do our best to accommodate preferences if it is not across the body or attached to removable parts. Once the customer is secured, the operator is encouraged to ask what stops they may want. Not that it's necessary, as they can use the bell function, but sometimes it helps so the operator can be prepared when approaching that stop. We coach the importance of our compliance obligations under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. The annunciator must be tested during their pre-trip circle check to ensure that it is working. If during their day it stops working, operators are to call into the maintenance division and request that the bus be changed off. While waiting for the new bus, they are to continue in service and verbally announce stops along the way. When operators approach bus stops, they are trained to ensure that the location is safe to alight, even in poor weather conditions, and also required to report any deficiencies observed with that stop location. As we transfer to front row boarding to support our Fair Assist program, we have and continue to offer training and familiarization events for our customers to learn and become comfortable with a new way to board our buses. Members of our training staff are there to assist our customers in becoming comfortable with the new operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to hear how HSR operators are trained to prioritize safety and customer service for all passengers. Next, we'll hear from Jeff Polanski. Jeff will provide us with an update on the ongoing fleet improvements that support accessibility for all transit users. Jeff, over to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Jeff Poljanski, and I'm the manager of Fleet Maintenance for Transit, HSR. My department is responsible for purchasing, maintenance, and repair of all transit vehicles, from the cars and trucks that we use for support staff to our 30-foot, 40-foot, and 60-foot buses. HSR's fleet started becoming accessible back in 1996 with our first low-floor bus being purchased. In 2008, our fleet became 100% low-floor accessible with the retirement of the last high-floor bus. Along this journey, HSR has learned and adapted to new technologies and products as they have become available. Today I'm going to speak about what's new in the last few years within our fleet. In 2020, our destination sign vendors began offering larger, more defined destination signs for the interior and exterior of the vehicle. You can see these on HSR buses, as they are the ones with the white signs. These new style signs are not only larger and more visible, but it has the capacity to be multicolored. Also in 2020, we decided to improve our seat cleanliness, quality, and durability. With that, we shifted towards composite seating, which is more durable, easier to deep clean, thinner, lighter, making them more fuel efficient for the vehicle and allowing for more physical space between the fixed seats and more compact design when flipped up. With the first version of the seats, we have learned a lot. For future bus orders, we will be still looking for improvements, such as even lighter seats and textured or even more ergonomic designs to help improve comfort and ride and reduce movement while seated. Around the beginning of 2024, the City of Hamilton experienced a citywide cyber incident which affected transit and how we provide passenger stop information. As part of the recovery with the annunciator systems, coming back online, we found that everything didn't come back on as expected. What was working fine before may not have worked for now. This led to the maintenance staff to complete a fleet-wide audit of our annunciator system to ensure things are functioning as intended. This process led to a systematic approach to test each bus with a decibel meter equipment at a precise distance for each speaker location. Upon completing the audit, we found that there was room for improvement in our vehicle service check process. We now complete our checks with measured decibel readings and controlled distances for consistency and accuracy. Whenever the industry has new products, we try our best to make considerations for all aspects that affect passengers, not just what is best operationally. We are one of the very few bus fleets in Ontario that have rear ramps. With improvements to floor products and the possibilities to identify personal mobility PMD locations with floor markings and decals, this is something that HSR is actively looking to do. As you may have noticed, not all improvements can always be done fleet-wide at once. As with the transition from low floor to high floor buses, this process took 12 years, which is the standard life cycle of a bus. That may seem like a long time, but it also allows for minor improvements to the new design and features along the way. Thank you for your time today and allowing me to speak at this event.
Thank you, Jeff. It's encouraging to see how HSR continues to evolve to meet the needs of passengers. Now I'd like to introduce Michelle Martin, who will speak on specialized transit services. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Ashley, and hello, everyone. Accessible Transportation Services, or ATS for short, are available to persons who, due to physical or functional limitations, are unable to use fixed-route HSR public transit. Based on information obtained through the ATS application process, ATS determines eligibility and registers passengers for door-to-door shared ride transit service provided by our contractor DARTS and for TaxiScript. ATS also provides ongoing customer care. We contract to a vendor, DARTS, to provide our door-to-door shared ride service, and DARTS provides reservations, dispatch, and on-street service. ATS eligibility for service includes all disabilities that may prevent the use of the HSR, not only physical ones. If someone wishes to apply for accessible transportation services, it is important to use the most up-to-date version of the form. You can find the form on the City of Hamilton website. If you are having trouble accessing the form, please call ATS at 905-529-1212, and a customer service representative can either email you the link or mail you a hard copy. The application form has two parts, one for the applicant to complete and a second part that must be completed by a healthcare professional. The TaxiScript program provides a 40% discount on local taxi trips through the purchase of booklets of TaxiScripts. The booklets are worth $40, but eligible persons only pay $24 per booklet and are allowed to purchase up to 3 booklets per month. So DARTS functions as a shared ride transit service, which means passengers are not always the only person on board, and, just like planning a conventional transit trip, need to allow adequate time to reach their destination, as they may be on board for up to 1 hour. DARTS may arrive between 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after the pickup time requested, which is your negotiated pickup time. Drivers cannot wait more than 5 minutes for passengers to be ready to leave due to the other trips that must also be delivered. DARTS drivers assist passengers from door to door, but they do not provide any onboard care. For example, they do not look after medication or medical equipment that must travel with a person. They do not assist passengers beyond the accessible entrance of their destination. So, for example, DARTS drivers do not unlock people's front doors or enter the home to help people take off their coat or bring them further than the doorstep. A support person may be required for further assistance. A support person may travel on DARTS vehicles for free with a registered passenger. Medical certification for a support person must be registered in advance with ATS, and the support person must be capable of meeting the needs of the individual with a disability during travel and/or at their destination. Passengers who register as requiring a support person at all times must be accompanied for all trips and may not travel alone on DARTS vehicles. However, if there is a safety risk to the passenger being left alone at their destination, but they are fine on the vehicle, ATS may register a passenger as do not leave unattended. The passenger may travel independently on DARTS. However, a capable person must be at every destination to receive the passenger. For more information about ATS and DARTS, please pick up a user guide. We have some here, and you can ask me about them after. If we run out, please call ATS Customer Service at 905-529-1212 or email us at ats@hamilton.ca, and we can mail one out to you or email an electronic copy. Make sure you also pick up a copy of the HSR fares information that we have with the guides, as the two items are mailed out together to all new ATS customers. You can also find information about ATS, including the most up-to-date version of the application form, on the City of Hamilton website, www.hamilton.ca/ATS. If you require any of these documents in an alternative format, please let ATS Customer Service know so we can accommodate you. In 2024 so far, the biggest drivers of ATS complaints have been related to DARTS on-time performance, though ATS has seen improvement on this indicator lately, and overall, on-time performance is approaching 99% of trips. Call wait times continue to be a concern, but ATS notes some improvement there also, with DARTS call center staff answering about 70% of calls within 5 minutes so far in 2024, compared to roughly 55% of calls in 2023. The vendor, DARTS, reports that in 2024, they have taken some steps to reorganize their call center to address denials. They have dedicated a call center agent to working on waitlisted trips, late trips, and denials, and provided additional training to call center agents to improve trip time negotiations with customers. For anyone here interested in all of the numbers for DARTS key performance indicators, ATS reports them quarterly to the Accessibility Committee for Persons with Disabilities and to the Public Works Committee. If you have any questions about these reports, please reach out to ATS. Meanwhile, customers who wish to provide feedback, including letting ATS know what is working well and what is not working well, can reach out to ATS directly. As 2024 closes, ATS is working diligently to wrap up customer satisfaction work we have undertaken at the end of 2023 and early this year. Our 2023 customer survey closed on December 31st last year, and we had over 950 responses, with 275 people expressing interest in participating in a customer panel. There were over 50 questions and a good rate of response, giving us a great deal of data to reference as we review service in the coming years. We also worked with Dillon Consulting on a journey mapping project, which is a visualization of the process that a customer goes through to accomplish a trip on ATS service. Selected participants were interviewed to understand their experience at each step to book and complete their trip. Demographic data, for example, age, type of disability, purpose of travel, and regularity of travel, from each of the interviewees helped create a group of personas for whom we can visualize some typical experiences from start to finish. ATS is targeting November to present these journey stories, both the frustrations and the pleasant aspects of using ATS shared ride services. At the same time, we are targeting November to present a summary of the large amount of survey data that we have gathered from our survey. Before I close, I would like to remind everyone that DART's Manager of Operations, Liz Spolador, has joined us to support answers to any questions you may have about DART services in the question and answer period later. As well, I'm reminding you again to reach out to ATS with your feedback by calling us or by emailing us. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you, Michelle, for that detailed overview of ATS. Next, we'll hear from Nancy Purser. Nancy will discuss our fare policies and provide information on the Fare Assist program. Nancy, take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. Good evening. I'm here to speak to you about our fare policies. As mentioned earlier, under AODA Transportation Standard, we are required to have fare parity, where the fees charged on accessible transit are the same fees that are charged on conventional HSR. Full parity was introduced in 2013, allowing all DART's ATS users to access the fare concessions on HSR, such as Golden Age, youth and senior discounts, as opposed to a flat fare. In January of 2024, the Fare Assist program was introduced as a pilot. This program was based on financial need only, and there are no other qualifications, and it applies, again, as a fare parity across ATS and HSR. With this program, basically anyone on Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Support Benefit automatically qualify, along with members of their household. Anyone who has a household income at or below the low income measure will also qualify for this program, along with anyone from their household. The discount offered per trip is $30% off a single ride fare on Presto. This means today, if you qualify, instead of paying the adult rate of $2.80 per trip, you would only pay $1.96. Having the discount on the single ride allows customers to pay as you go instead of paying for all of your transit at once. The 30% discount is automatically applied when you pay your fare. Additionally, after you've paid for 11 trips in a week, Monday to Sunday, all additional trips will be free. All other AODA regulations remain in effect. Therefore, anyone who has been approved to travel with a support person is still able to do so. The support person with you on your trip is not required to pay a fare. However, you as the customer are required to pay the fare. The Fare Assist program is running as a pilot from January 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2026. If you think you are eligible, we encourage you to apply and start saving on your transit costs. Presto cards can be purchased for $4 at any Shoppers Drug Mart or Fortino's location. They are also available at HSR Customer Service Center at 36 Hunter, City Hall, and municipal service centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. It's wonderful to see how we're working to make transit more affordable and accessible for everyone. Next, we will hear from Jason Vanderhyde. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Ashley, and hello to everyone attending this evening. My team is responsible for managing and maintaining on-street infrastructure, including stops, shelters, and other amenities. So I'm going to start out talking a little bit about our stats. Currently in our network, we have a total of 2,371 bus stops. Of those 2,371 bus stops, 1,577 are AODA, what we consider AODA accessible bus stops. That means that 794 are not what we consider to be AODA accessible bus stops. So I want to talk a little bit about what makes a stop accessible. For a bus stop to be accessible, it must have a raised landing pad connected to the sidewalk Without the landing pad, the slope of the bus ramp would be too high for persons using mobility devices and persons with accessibility needs. Because curbs and sidewalks are generally provided in urban settings only, most of our rural bus stops are not considered accessible. When planning for an accessible bus stop, there are specific design elements that we have to include. These are a minimum of a 9 by 2.5 meter landing pad with a hard, even surface and a minimum 1.5 by 2 meter ramp deployment and loading area. The deployment and loading areas are connected to an accessible sidewalk by a hard, even surface pathway with a minimum 1.5 meter clearway. The pathway between the landing pad, sidewalk, and passenger amenities must be unobstructed. Sidewalks and/or landing pads must have curb cuts with a minimum 80 centimeters width to enable persons using mobility devices to cross the road. Landing pad cross slopes can be no more than 2%. A slope is required for drainage purposes, but it has to be kept below 2% to allow persons using mobility devices to navigate on paths or landing pads. Where stops abut steep slopes or ditches, physical barriers such as handrails, fencing, or walls are provided. Where bus shelters are located away from a landing pad, they must be connected to it by a hard, even surface pathway, again with a minimum clearway width of 1.5 meters. To ensure the safety of all users, vertical obstructions below an elevation of 2.1 meters are avoided. However, where obstructions cannot be removed or adjusted, we have to clearly mark them. For example, a yellow sheath on a utility guy wire. Common vertical obstructions include guy wires, tree limbs, advertisement boards, and utility wires. To ensure that the transit stop is entirely accessible, service contracts that the city enters in for the operation, maintenance, and retrofitting of bus stops require AODA compliant design and construction. This includes the design, installation, location, and maintenance of the pathways and amenities within the bus stop area. I'd like to share with you how we plan on upgrading stops to be more accessible. The first way is through an annual landing pad program where we essentially highlight all the stops in the city that do not meet the AODA standards, and we narrow down these stops and establish a priority list based on feasibility and location. The second way is through our capital projects with the construction department. We go through all of the city's construction projects to input comments on all of our bus stop needs and input those into the project scope to ensure the bus stops get upgraded to meet AODA standards during major construction projects. The third way is through active transportation projects. Similar to capital projects, we work with our colleagues in active transportation to provide scope into their projects to make sure that our bus stops remain accessible and are improved during the design and construction. Unfortunately, in 2024, the cyber incident impacted this work. Due to the cyber incident, we were unable to complete our 2024 landing pad program. This was due to construction activities being put on hold for the most part in the city. The cyber incident also put a pause on many capital projects, meaning that bus pads that were included in the scope of those construction projects were also unable to be completed. These impacts have meant that the phasing of our AODA improvements have been pushed back by a year. We were planning on getting back on track in 2025, though, by having all of the locations in our 2024 landing pad program implemented in 2025. And as new capital works projects are being planned, we continue to provide scope into those projects to ensure upgrades to AODA standards are included in the design. This includes growth projects and the urbanization of roadways that are currently categorized as rural, but are being converted to urban cross sections in the future. Thank you very much for having me tonight.
Thank you, Jason, for the thorough overview of our bus stop accessibility and the plans to improve them. Now, Nick Shalou will share insights into the recent service enhancements and how we're planning for future growth and improvements in our transit network. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, everyone. Really excited to be here for the first time as the manager of transit strategy and planning. We are a section that focuses on planning our service and our network over the short and long term with the goal of increasing accessibility of the service for all. Some of the things I'm going to talk about tonight are the service changes we just implemented for September 2024. our new network, and the Lime Ridge Mall, the new hub we are building there. So you may have seen in the last bit, as of September 1st, we made significant service improvements across Hamilton that are aimed at helping people travel at all times of day, particularly evenings and weekends. After all, if you're trying to go to work, school, recreation, it's a lot easier to take the bus if there's another one coming back. We've added significant evening service on many routes, including the MyRide service in Waterdown, which is our on-demand service. And some of the areas that are seeing the most impressive gains are places like Ancaster, Waterdown, Heritage Green, and Lower Stony Creek. This has reflected our goal of trying to make our service more standardized, that every route operates at the same time of day for the same service span. For example, we are making all of our routes run Monday to Saturday from 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Sundays. We are also making sure routes do not run less often than every 30 minutes. Because of these changes, we now have about 91% of our customer activity taking place on routes that meet these service standards, and the last 9% is within reach in the next year. We're also looking to standardize the types of routes that we run. So now we would have routes that arrive every 10 minutes or better, or priority routes, routes that arrive every 15 minutes or better, collector routes, and routes that run every 20 minutes or better, local routes. These changes are meant to make transit more easy to understand and more accessible to users across Hamilton. One of the big things we're working on is the transit growth strategy. This is a major redesign of our network that has been in the works for over a decade at this point, and that we are delivering to Council in January of 2025. This will include year-by-year plans for how we are adjusting the network, adding service, creating new bus hubs, and buying more buses. This plan will result in about a 60% increase in service from today's level. You'll also know that right now many of our routes go into downtown, terminating at Frank A. Cook Terminal. With this change, we facilitate hub-to-hub travel across the city. So if you are trying to go from Ancaster to Stony Creek, you do not necessarily need to go into downtown if you do not want to. Many areas will see significant improvements in what you can reach by transit as a result, with areas like Ancaster seeing up to a 77% increase in what you can get to by transit, and Stony Creek up to a 46% increase. While I understand this is different from physical accessibility, by making transit more accessible to everyone with longer operating hours, more frequency, and a more approachable service standard, we're achieving our objective of making transit more competitive for Hamiltonians. Lastly, at Lime Ridge Mall, I think a number of folks in the room know we have been working on a new bus terminal. This is the first of almost 20 new hubs we need to create across the city. Part of this new network is allowing travel between each hub with no more than one transfer. Lime Ridge, as the first terminal we are rebuilding, is meant to be an accessible design. We've been consulting extensively with our CX&I team and with the Accessibility Committee to make sure that the design meets our standards. It will have room for 8 bus bays, including a shared bay for DART's vehicles, transit shelters, benches, public Wi-Fi, pedestrian wayfinding, and dedicated bus access. We'll be working on more hubs shortly, and we'll be sure to reach out for your input on design and architecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Now let's shift our focus to the customer experience. Ali Sabarin will share some exciting developments and initiatives aimed at enhancing the overall transit experience. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you, Ashley. Hello, everyone. My name is Ali Sabrin, and I am the Manager of Customer Experience and Innovation with HSR. I'm honored to be here today and to share some of the exciting projects our team has been working on this year and will continue into the following year. Our team's job is to understand our customers' needs and find ways to improve their experience. Our goal is to make public transit the first choice for people living in or visiting Hamilton. We focus on guiding principles like accessibility, equity, diversity and inclusion, community engagement, innovation, and delivering on our promises. We're responsible for engaging with our customers. This includes organizing and attending events to inform people about service changes and to hear their feedback. So far this year, we've attended 141 events and talked to over 14,000 people about topics like our fall service enhancements, the Fair Assist program, customer education, the CF Lime Ridge Terminal makeover, and HSR's 150th birthday. We've met people of all ages and abilities at festivals, seniors organizations, schools, Hamilton Public Library locations, recreation centers, and other events. The feedback we get helps to make improvements, and when we include diverse voices, the experience is better for everyone. For example, with changes to fare programs, the need for front door boarding, we created the How to Ride the Bus program. From June 24th to July 30th, we held 22 sessions and taught over 330 people how to board and ride a bus in Hamilton. The bus terminal at CF Lime Ridge is also being redesigned with accessibility in mind. The new design will make transfers between buses easier, offer wide and flat surfaces, more seating, protection from bad weather, and better signage. Our team collected feedback from people who travel in that area to help with the design. We're also looking forward to attending the upcoming Accessibility Fair at Hamilton City Hall. This event will help us learn more about the accessibility needs of our customers, especially those who use personal mobility devices. Our partnership with ACPD is very important, and we appreciate the feedback we get from its members. Our team also conducted several community surveys this year, including the Rate My Ride Customer Satisfaction Survey, a Fair Assist Program Survey, the CF Lime Ridge Mall Survey, and a Travelog study to help us understand how people are using our services. In September, we'll be working with the YMCA on a gender-based safety audit, which looks at the experiences of both HSR and ATS customers. This year has been challenging due to the cyber incident that affected the city's systems, including phones and databases. We've worked hard to restore key tools and accessibility features. We got some phone system function restored mid-June, the bus enunciators restored on June 23rd with the start of the summer board, static or schedule real-time bus information in mid-July, and real-time GTFS in mid-August. We appreciate your patience and understanding as we continue to work on restoring some systems like the HSR Now suite of products, which includes bus check and other features. However, now that real-time information has been restored, customers can use apps like the Google Transit app and Transit app to get real-time bus arrival updates. One other exciting project that was delayed by the cyber incident is our e-ink display pilot. This pilot or proof of concept project is now moving forward, and it will have 2 locations that will get these new tablet-style signs this year. These signs will improve real-time bus arrival information, both visually and with audio. This will help improve accessibility and pave the way for more e-ink displays for a pilot at stops next year. Lastly, our team is also responsible for customer care. You can always reach out to us with feedback, suggestions, or even to recognize a bus driver by emailing hsrserve@hamilton.ca or calling 905 528-4200. If you have any concerns, including issues with enunciators or accessibility, let us know, and we'll do our best to fix them. Be sure to include details such as bus number, location, direction, date, and time. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you to all of our panelists for your insightful presentations. We are now opening the floor to questions. If you're participating via live stream, please be aware that your questions and responses will be broadcast and saved on the City of Hamilton YouTube channel. If you prefer to ask your question privately, you can wait until the live stream ends. The live stream will end either when all questions have been addressed or at 7:15, whichever comes first. And as a reminder, we will continue to receive feedback, comments, and questions until September 30th. If you visit us at hamilton.ca/HSR accessibility, you'll be able to see the various different methods in terms of sharing your feedback with HSR. So with that said, I do open it up to the floor. I will let you know that for those that are joining us via the YouTube channel, I will be repeating your question to the best of my abilities for their benefit. Yes, James?
We'll start in on bus stops, no? I think that's how we're doing it, right? Like, number, or are we just asking a question?
You can go ahead and ask.
Okay, well, starting up with bus stops, snow clearing has been a constant problem. Getting both doors cleared on a bus stop, and not only that, but getting the curb cuts that were mentioned connected to the bus stops has been a problem. The HSR planning on addressing that.
So we have a question in regards to snow clearing and access to bus stops as a result of weather conditions. I'm going to direct that question to Mark. Mark, if you want to join us up here, or myself.
So we work alongside traffic operations and maintenance in their their sidewalk program. I believe it's 24 hours they have to clear the entire sidewalk, so it's accessible from the sidewalk to the bus. We will supply them with all of our stop information in terms of the length of clearance to be cleared for that. We have a 24-hour monitoring period, and we need to notify them of any deficiencies we see.
Just a further clarification.
Yeah.
The problems we're having oftentimes is that only the front door is being cleared, and then they're getting the bus shelter cleared up to a certain point, and then they stop. And the city clears their section, but they stop before they get to connect. And so what ends up happening is a snowbank builds up in between those two sections, two departments. There's snow, I don't know why.
We're not responsible for any of the snow clearing. It's all traffic operations and maintenance. So
Traffic operation.
that's correct.
So you're bus stops, correct?
Correct.
Well, on ahead there then. The benches, those benches they design on the bus stops. There's a few of them, I'm not sure how many that have been installed. They really attach to the bus stop. They have them in a couple of different configurations.
I'm going to do you have any other ones for operations while I'm here? That's going to go to Jason, sorry?
That should really go.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm going to let Jason answer your bus stop seating.
Sorry, James, go ahead. Bus stop markers.
Yeah, those, the benches, I'm not sure if they're continuing to use them. I've seen them installed in various places. We raised concerns about the handle placement. You've got the handle placement on the outside bar, and none of us can use it. And we raised concerns for time that it needs to be somewhere in a more ergonomic position for us to actually be able to get body weight off of it. Just
Yep.
raise that concern and wonder if that's
That's something I can take back to the team. When we originally introduced the bus stop marker as a pilot, I know we had some consultation with ACPD on it. The original design was changed based on feedback. I am not sure. I would have to go back to see if there's any of the original designs still in the field. We have about 30 in the field right now, and we have more that are in stock to be installed where needed. But I can certainly take that back and make sure that the handles themselves are positioned on the new design based on the feedback we received.
What I was thinking is, within a few years from now, I know the LRT is gonna go as far as McMaster, like, you're gonna get it probably at Main and Emerson, and then that will go as far as Eastgate, and then all the Delaware buses, like, goes to Head or Perry, will just go from there and back to the Those route, I guess, when that happens.
Do you wanna take-
So the question, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is on the nature of the 5 bus after the LRT comes in.
Yeah.
So there will be changes to the service. As part of our network redesign, almost every route will change in the city as we prepare for LRT. The direct ride across the city will be on the LRT with more of our routes feeding into it. And we will have more details on that network phasing coming in January 2025. There are details available on our website for the plan that went out to the public, I believe, about 2-3 years ago. Hoping that answers.
Thank you, Nick. Are there additional questions? Yes, I see your hand raised.
Me?
Yes.
There are certain buses that I cannot get on. For example, the Dundas Local. Everyone I've tried to get on, they're very short because they're smaller for some reason. And also, a few weeks ago, went to Burlington and then got the number 1 to Burlington. And then we were trying to hop onto the Waterdown bus, but I couldn't get on them, and the bus driver told me they're all the same. So I can't go to Waterdown, HSR.
So I have a question with respect to boarding the bus and one of our customers unable to board specific routes, the 52, the 1, and the 18 were referenced. I'm going to direct that question to Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, can I suggest that for the benefit of people on the live stream, when we get behind the microphone, we identify ourselves with names and titles so they know who's responding?
Yeah.
So Mark Williams, Manager of Operations. What was your name?
I'm Scott.
Hey, Scott.
I was just talking about the change with the LRT to the Delaware route.
Yep. Did Nick answered your question about the Route 5 after LRT?
Yeah, because I thought that's gonna work. I go out for Stony Creek sometimes, see my dad, and take this to Delaware bus to go to the program every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. It starts in the wintertime. I like taking the bus this time of the year, the exercise I need.
Well, thank you for that. What was your name?
Melva,
Melva? So which buses are you having challenges with?
the locals in Dundas.
Okay.
And also, I don't know what the number is.
52A.
The one to get onto, it's the Waterdown bus.
Okay, and what?
I stopped off in Burlington, and then we went to the bus terminal to get on to whatever it is. And there's no way I can get on, it's very short, it's large.
Are you front door boarding that's a vicinity bus, I'm assuming in Waterdown?
Yeah, the bus driver told me they're all the same.
Okay. Have we had an opportunity to attend one of our training sessions for those buses yet? We can go through some of that training with you. I don't think we only have a 40-foot bus here today, but we can arrange something with you to be able to teach you to maneuver through that and become comfortable with.
I cannot get on, even in Hamilton, there are certain, not often, but there is a certain one, I don't know what it is, that I can't get on. I cannot turn to get on the front. If I went on the back, it would be okay. But the front is just very, very narrow, and there's no way I can get on.
Again, we'd be happy to work with you to understand that. We also communicate with our operators the availability to use the rear ramp when possible, but we try and work with you to navigate the front of it.
Where would I get, where would that happen?
Which, the familiarization sessions?
Yeah,
We can work with you maybe after for something, a date that's coming up.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. And we have another question?
Yeah, so I had another bus stop related question. I was wondering, so sometimes when I'm getting on the bus, I'm noticing that in certain bus stop locations, the sidewalks are not wide enough to allow the ramp to come down to get on the bus, and I'm often ending up like on the grass in people's lawns to try to get on the bus. And I'm wondering if there's anything being done to help like with
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to Jason Vanderhyde, if you don't mind repeating it for our online audience.
Jason Vanderhyde, Manager of Transit Scheduling and Infrastructure. I believe the question was related to situations where the depth of the sidewalk is not sufficient enough for the ramp to be deployed, where you can then maneuver onto the sidewalk itself. So that would fall, those stops would fall into that category of the 794 stops that we would say are not accessible by our terms. And what we're doing is trying every year to advance and move forward and have that number come down. In specific locations, it really comes down to right-of-way availability. So how much space is there between property line on one side of the road versus property line on the other side of the road. Without knowing the exact locations, and I'm happy to take down locations and have a look at those. In a lot of cases in the lower city, there's properties abutting right front facing, and so that's a challenge. In the case you're describing, that's a grass berm, it could be a property line issue where we can't achieve a wider depth there. And so as capital projects are taking place, that's where we're putting our comments in about design to say, we need more depth than 1.5 meters. We actually need 2.5 meters. Sometimes that can't be achieved without then abutting out and putting a bump out into the road. And so that's a road design issue. And so that's where we're working with colleagues in transportation engineering, in active transportation, and trying to find solutions for those areas where we're really limited based on the available right-of-way. So live to it, really want to get that 794 number down as quickly as possible. But in some cases, it's a real big challenge in terms of the actual space availability that we have.
Thank you, Jason. Do we have additional questions? James, go ahead.
Okay, next up, the cyber attack came up quite a bit, and the failure of equipment, especially the enunciators and the stop announcements. There was no analog stop announcements made of, there's supposed to be the drivers calling out the stops when the equipment breaks down. Throughout those whole months, no drivers were announcing stops. We couldn't see displays, we couldn't see what was going on because we're facing backwards. People with vision loss when I can't see, but we're still not hearing because the drivers there needs to be a plan in place, and from what I understood, there was supposed to be, but we never saw it materialize.
So there is a question in regards to the impact to our annunciator system as a result of the cyber attack incident. There was a period where the annunciator system was offline, and bus operators at that time were supposed to, or instructed to, announce the stops as they approached their destination. The comment we received is that that was not the experience of our rider. So I direct that question or any commentary to Maureen Cousin Heath, our Director of Transit.
Thank you, Maureen Cousin Heath, Director of Transit. I Q-jumped Mark for that one. James, I want to be unequivocally clear. When the onboard enunciators are not working, it is our expectation that the drivers are calling stops. That's their job. That's the legislative requirement. One of your comments that you made earlier tonight was how important it is for people to report things to us. And this really is the best connection between your statement and HSR's plea for your help. Full stop. If we have drivers that are not enunciating the stops, we may not know that. It is very helpful when people take time, and I know that you may feel that the concerns fall flat and go nowhere. But if you call us and say, I just got off this bus, this date, this time, this direction, bus number X, route Y, and the enunciator wasn't working and I didn't hear the driver calling stops, then we have the ability to provide the coaching that Mark talked about in his segment, where we can connect with the driver, we can coach them, we can make sure, A, that they understand that it's a legislated requirement, but more importantly, that it's a part of our customer experience and that we really need to be doing better when we're missing the mark on that. So I think that's a great question that happily links both of our perspectives together. It's very important for us that you share your feedback with us, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we will take it to improve. Yep.
Sorry, along with that, just thinking, well, was there a number
We were able to accept contacts by email during that time frame. And I mean, understanding that incident was less than ideal for the residents, for us as staff, it was a very challenging time to be sure, but we were still available by email, and we do really genuinely appreciate the feedback when we receive it.
Another thing is, I was gonna say, I just say, if I see someone short, they can't reach the button, I can reach it for them, before my stop, I can help them out a little bit. They need to ring the bell.
Thank you, and thank you. That's what.
Also, I can call some of the stuff when I know some of the routes.
Yeah. Yeah, very kind and very helpful to assist fellow customers and riders of HSR.
I'm Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions from our audience? Yes, please. I am talking to you, yes.
I would like to know why the HSR doesn't respect CNID client like other.
I would know that too.
Like Metrolink. And I'll just say very quickly why I say that. Because I have a client card.
I got one too.
And in order for me to get the companion discount on Metrolink's machines, whatever, rolling stock, all I had to do was go to Union Station, show them my CNID card, and I got a sticker like my Presto card. Now with you guys, I have to show my driver's license and provide income tax information. And it's very dubious for me, especially because of the cyber attack and the fact that you guys didn't know that these people were poking around in the system for 21 days.
So there is a question in regards to our fare policies for CNIB cardholders. I'm going to direct that question to our Director of Transit, Maureen Cousin-Heath.
Thank you, Maureen Cousin-Heath, Director of Transit. I think we've established that at this point. Thank you for the question about the CNIB card and the Fare Assist program. HSR implemented a low-income fare program affording a 30% discount off of the Presto fare for all members of a household for those who qualify based on income status. It is a 2-year pilot project. During the pilot project, we did suspend the voluntary pay program for people with CNIB cardholders, and we also suspended voluntary pay for persons riding conventional transit with a mobility device, a scooter, or a walker. By moving to a program that is incomes and means tested, it is more equitably applied to everyone across the system based on no specific short list of disabilities. It applies purely based on income. And the other benefit of the program that is different than what existed in the past is that it applies on both DARTS trips and HSR trips. So we understand that the program is a change, but we believe that it is making transit more affordable for more Hamiltonians, and that is what predicated the 2-year pilot.
But you haven't answered my question. You didn't say why you didn't consider taking CNID cards and saying, oh, we'll do the same as Metrolink. And I know you've already done your communications piece about how beneficial it is and everything. I would just like to know why a nationally recognized card that I had to go see 2 eye doctors to get is not respected by HSR. Even when one of the worst corporate citizens in France, Metrolink, is willing to just give me access to their companion system without providing them any income tax information or income-based stuff.
Right.
And you would think that based on their track record, they would want to know whether I have some kind of genetic disease or not.
And I can't talk to how Metrolinx defines their programs and what services they offer. I can speak to the decisions that we as HSR made when we moved over to our Fare Assist program, and that was that it would be income-based for all Hamiltonians, regardless of ages or abilities, and that it would apply equally on both systems. James?
I think the concern is you keep saying equitable, but it's more equal.
Okay.
I think that's one of the big problems.
Okay, appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Oh, yes, please.
I wasn't sure, before you said something about interviews, the HSR, is it 11 times in a week?
So, yes, so with our,
Every week?
so with our Presto program, after 11 paid trips in a given week, after that, your remaining travels for that specific week are at no cost.
Oh, not the whole month?
That's correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, monthly pass, is there a discount with that, or is it just, it's not, you don't save anything, you get a monthly pass rather than use the bus a lot, say 5, 6 times a week?
Whether you use Presto or a monthly pass is really dependent on the frequency of travel. So I'd be happy after this meeting to kind of sit down and talk to you to see what makes the most financial sense for you personally. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I was also asked by a member to ask about integrated transit and the family of services that TTC is operating and the problems they're having right now. Is the HSR monitoring this, and is it changing their plans on going forward with integrated transit?
So I have a question in regards to integrated transit that TTC is currently offering to riders, and if there's any plans for HSR to have similar programs. Can I direct that question to Michelle Martin?
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks for the question, Michelle Martin, Manager of Accessible Transportation Services. So we are now in a position, because of a funding announcement from the Infrastructure Canada program, I can't remember the full acronym off the top of my head, to be able to investigate purchasing a small fleet of vehicles to pilot integrated transit in a zone where it makes sense to pilot it. So we would be looking at integrated trips to an accessible hub, from specialized service to conventional service. The route would have to be frequent, and the entire route would need to be accessible for the person who's choosing to try the integrated trip. We are really in the beginning stages now of thinking about what integrated transit, or what an integrated transit pilot, because that's really where we're at right now, very, very beginning stages. And even to get a pilot underway is going to take a couple of years because of things like procuring vehicles and, to your point, investigating what other services are doing and what their experience has been and what the customer experience has been there, and learning from it. So I just wanted to assure you that we're not rushing headlong into anything. We are beginning with a small pilot, and we're taking our time and thinking about ensuring full accessibility for somebody who's choosing to use that option on a pilot basis. I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Thanks. Thank you, Michelle. Do we have any additional questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, what's next? You mentioned the HSR hours are expanding across the board. Are DART's hours expanding to coincide with a 5 to 2?
So there's a question in regards to HSR hours expanding, and if DARTs will be expanding as well. So I'm going to direct that question to Michelle Martin.
Thanks for the question, James. DARTS currently operates on-street service, and I'm going to, oh, Liz is gone, so Monica's going to remind me, 5:30 to...
Our on-street, our first operator actually leaves at 5:15, so they are on site at 5 a.m.?
Yes. Yes, correct. And then on-street service completes at 2 a.m., meaning the last bus is in the yard at 2 a.m. So your final trip depends on where you're leaving from, similar to the HSR. So a 2 a.m. finish at one end of the Barton is not the same for somebody who's traveling on the other end of the Barton, right? So right now, DART's service hours, on-street service hours, mirror the longest route in Hamilton. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I just had a concern from a member. I just wanted to ask.
Okay, thanks.
Somebody mentioned
Yeah, I'm going to direct that question to Mark Williams in regards to refresher trainer training for our bus operators.
Thanks, James. It's still an ongoing project. We haven't done anything this year, to be completely transparent. The cyber attack did delay us in abilities to hire more people, which allows us to provide that type of training. So still very forefront in what we're doing, but it's dependent on, largely on our complement and how we get there, but still ongoing.
And you're involved in the passenger training as well?
My training team is, yes.
And then I have a good question about that. When you're training people with mobility devices to board and deboard, are they doing it on a completely empty bus, or are you actually trying to simulate passengers on board, trying to get them to move? Because that is the real problem, getting on and off an empty bus.
Right. To my knowledge, it's done. Oh, sorry. The question was in our customer familiarization with onboarding, if we do it on an empty bus or in a more simulated fashion of customers. I think it's typically done on an empty bus to help navigate that first turn, but willing to maybe explore that option as well.
So, you have a question about the new decals that have gone up on the doors about front door and back door access only as well.
But
I'm not sure who that would go to.
what's it regarding?
They put new stickers on the door saying rear doors exit only, front doors entrance only. But there's a lot of people with disabilities that don't use mobility devices, or some of these walkers that have difficulty deboarding on the back door. It's slightly higher. Oftentimes drivers are further away from the curb and still prefer to drive on the front, or deboard off the front. Some drivers are resistant to let passengers off the front.
The philosophy around the in through the front, out through the back is a flow pattern to keep things moving nicely. All of our operators are coached to allow people to alight off the front. So I understand you may encounter an issue at that point. Again, back to let us know. That's not the expectation. The expectation is that we do our best to accommodate everyone.
I just want to add to that is it's not just about people with mobility devices, it's for everybody. We have
Everyone.
a bunch of university students just trying to board at the back door, and so it's really to direct everybody that they need to board through the front.
I'm just thinking of the issue of snow. Sometimes it's a big snowbank and you can't get up the bus. So what do we do then?
They can't, sorry?
They can't go out the back because there's a big snowbank, big hill.
So the question is about how we, sometimes we pull up to a stop and the rear door is impeded by a snowbank. You know, in my opinion, at that point in time, you would notify the operator and they would find an alternate safe location to have you disembark there. Yeah, the expectation would not be anyone, whether you have a mobility device or anyone, to get off into a snowbank. Yeah, of course not. Like that would simply be a notification to the operator and we would make that, we would make that change for you.
So what do you do at 5:30 in the evening when you're on the bus and the bus is completely full to the point where everybody's standing and you have to try and make your way to the back door to get off so you can have your theoretical flow?
So the question is, how do we manage customers when it's full later in the evening? Maybe everybody's coming home, people not able to get to the back door. Again, that would be an operator conversation. Let them know you're trying to remove through the back door. Maybe at that point in time, we can take you off the front door. We're going to accommodate you as best we can. The goal is to have that flow to try and have people moving in one, out the other. But at any point in time, if there's not an availability to do so, please let us know. We would do our best to accommodate that.
Ottawa and Mohawk, the bus coming this way. I couldn't get on the bus, there were students, they would have moved for hours. So me, I had to wait for the next bus. They would have moved for me and hours. Wait for the next bus, they would have moved, took us 2 hours to come this way. The students wouldn't move.
So the question is about buses that are full at times and customers on there are not.
There was elders standing, you have no choice because they wouldn't let them sit.
Yeah, again, that's an operator that requests our customers to move throughout the bus and provide some availability, but we can't necessarily, pardon me? It's an education, sorry?
Sorry, I'll just join you for
Sorry.
a second. It's okay.
Hello again, my name is Ali Sabrian, Manager of Customer Experience and Innovation. Definitely the operator, if the person is able to go to the operator and explain the situation, they can deal with it. But also, again, phone it into customer service. We are looking at a new education program, and it's something, we're going to leverage materials that are being developed nationally. And if it doesn't address it in that package, we can add specific communication to let our customers know. Targeting youth, I heard it's around teenagers and youth. So we are looking at developing a campaign. So please call us, let us know, and we'll be sure to include it in our package.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you both, Ali and Mark. Do we have additional questions? Yes.
One more, I think. Blame Michelle, she told me that gropey. Belt placement. In the last year, I've noticed that models 15 series and up have all had their key strength instruction panels replaced with simplified versions that simply say wrap the belt around the armrest for independent belting. Yet when you do that, oftentimes drivers get resistant telling you, you can't do it that way, we have to do it our way, but meanwhile, there's a new instruction panel that tells you how to do it. Where is the disparity there? Why is it two different?
So I have a question. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I have a question in regards to belt placement. If I could direct that question to.
Maybe both of us, but we could start with Jeff.
All right, I'm going to direct that question to our manager of fleet, our fleet maintenance, Jeff.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Poljanski. I'm the manager of fleet maintenance. What we've noticed with many of the decals coming from vendors, they do change over time. If we're noticing something that's operationally changed to a significant impact, shorter language is fine. If it's a change in the system of how we do it operationally, please let us know. I'm sure that we could work with Mark and the operations team to come up with a solution in there. Do you have anything to speak on the? Okay. Well, the Q-Straint devices for each of the vehicles are dependent. There are some minor updates, but there's no significant changes between many of the series when it comes through the Nova buses and even on the New Flyer buses. Again, they're all Q-Straint in the same design typically. So. Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry, is this a question to complement the early?
Yeah, it's kind of related.
It is related, okay.
Yeah, so I have a question around if there's any operators training for securing wheelchairs like mine that don't have the armrest, because a lot of times operators seem confused about where they're supposed to place the belt, because I don't have the armrest on my chair, and a lot of people with custom manual chairs don't have the armrest.
So there's a question in regards to operator training for securing a personal mobility device, specifically a wheelchair without an armrest. I'm going to direct that question towards Mark Williams.
Thank you, Mark Williams, Manager of Operations. We coach and train our operators to go around the frame of the vehicle, and I know everyone is different and they do their best, and that's where if you have a suggestion that would help us through that, we understand that each vehicle is different, but the goal is always to attach it to the frame for the most level of safety.
So further to my question, why would looping it around the armrest not be acceptable to the driver? Why do they insist on wrapping it on the back of the chair?
I don't know the specific, sorry, the question is about whether it goes around the armchair or why the operator prefers to put it back there. It might be dependent on the situation, I'm not sure, but the armchair would be an acceptable spot. I don't know what portion of the chair you're speaking of, but I would assume it's part of the frame.
It is part of the frame. You have
Yeah.
to unbolt it to get it
Okay.
free. The concern is that a lot of the times we have conflicts with drivers on belt placement. So independent, if it's possible for people to do independent belting, is preferred. But whenever I try and do that, I get resistance. I'm just wondering why they're so resistant to allowing us to belt it the way that the key strength plate says we can belt it.
Yeah, I think ultimately they're responsible, so they want to make sure it's where it should be and where they're comfortable. That's why they do often ask, what do you prefer? And if you're noticing it a lot, again, this is a feedback option that we can sit with our training team and try to understand what those might be. Yes?
This is not a question, I just wanted to piggyback on James Kemp's comment earlier about equality versus equity. With due respect to the director, I did hear a lot about equality. Equality based on income is one issue, but the other, if I may say, the hearing impaired have been accommodated here. The physical disabilities, people with wheelchairs, heard a lot about how the system is trying to accommodate them to board buses and get off buses, etc. I don't see any accommodation for visual impairment, and also with the CNID card. That's my brother behind me, so I'm his advocate. They can't drive. They have difficulty getting around. So I think I'm going to be connecting with Kemp after to see how we can address this, because there are people who have wheelchairs who can drive too, depending on their adapted vehicle, et cetera, if they can get that. I'm a former special ed teacher, and equity is very different from equality. Equity means that everybody can use the system to the best of their ability, not necessarily what's equal for everyone. And I would respectfully urge you to look up the difference between equity and equality. And I know you'll find some means as well that will make it very visually clear what the difference is.
And thank you for that feedback. There was a comment, and I won't do it justice in terms of reiterating it, but it was in regards to equality and equity with our fare policies and on HSR. So we will take that feedback. So I thank you. Yeah. And sorry, I'm going to ask Michelle Martin to join me.
Just with respect to persons with vision loss being accommodated for the meeting this evening, I know there was a request for all of the speaker notes ahead of time in large print. We didn't have them all assembled, but one of the reasons why we have the captioner on site, whether or not somebody on site requires the captioner, is we will get a full transcript of everything, including all of the Q&A. And please reach out to me and I'll ensure that a large print version is sent to you.
Then respectfully, your timelines need to be bumped up a couple of days so that the people who are presenting written presentation submit it earlier so that it can be provided to a visually impaired person who needs a large print.
So we'll take that into
Don't need
consideration.
comments, et cetera, that are
Of course.
but the actual presentations themselves, there's no reason why. I mean, I was a special ed teacher. I had to have my stuff prepared days ahead of time, and I had to have accessible documents for everybody ahead of time. So your timeline, just as a suggestion, would have to be bumped up so that those people can provide those ahead of time, so that there's time to make them accessible to all.
And certainly that is duly noted. The comment was about bumping up our timeline for preparation of materials. We did have early draft versions that were provided ahead to captioners, but I do want to also stress that Transit's very operationally busy, and sometimes there's a last-minute change or adjustment to the speaker's notes. But recognizing the need, I think we will endeavor to have at least an outline of the topics if we don't have the actual text prepared, so that these can be provided ahead of time. And
Also respectfully, this is your annual meeting that you're required to provide. So I think plenty of time is available ahead of time. Okay.
so noted. Thank you very much.
Okay. Michelle, would everything be okay to put there on the 24th for October, the first meeting, CCB? Because remember we had a while to do it Tuesday before we had to go from Thursday to Friday, and Monday, then Labor Day to do it. Took a while to get to the last CCB meeting.
So there's a question in regards to booking darts
Yeah.
ahead of this event that we can speak to you after the event to address that, your specific situation. Yes.
Sort of
So the question or comment is in regards to handheld Presto devices that are currently being used by TTC for riders who are unable to tap the standalone Presto machines that are on the fleet. I'm going to address that or direct that question towards Maureen Cousin Heath.
Thank you for the question. As it stands right now, the HSR does not have handheld Presto machines, and we do not have an immediate plan to look into them. The reason being TTC is an extremely large system. They are, I believe they're the third largest possibly in North America. Is that comparatively? Their revenue, their business model, everything about them, they're not a direct comparator. They have tools that agencies of our size just simply don't have. We have had the question asked about accessible or portable readers, pardon me, and as I mentioned, it's not something we're looking at pursuing at this moment in time. Instead, what we would ask is if somebody is boarding and has trouble using their Presto card, we would ask that you offer it to the driver for them to take and tap for you. If the driver won't, then our expectation would be that you'd be allowed to board with no fare charged. And again, that's one of those things, if you notice an issue with the driver, we would want you to let us know that so that we can follow up with them and provide them appropriate coaching. We would hope that they would help you. James?
165/16 ISR says it's required to provide independent service. That means I should be able to board, pay my fare, get in my seat for myself.
Mhm.
Before you instituted this plan, was there any discussion about this equity issue of being able to pay your fare equitably for a driver to take your card and scan it and then tell you the information he just saw on the screen behind you that you can't even see? It doesn't seem like we're getting the same level of service.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the driver to tell you the information that they saw behind you on the screen. I would just expect them to tap it and hand it back to you. That's a circumstance if you are unable to tap independently. Your other option would be you could have a support person travel with you, and the support person could tap the Presto card for you.
That's like saying that we don't have auto doors on a building, but you can bring a support person to open the door for you. It's fine as a stopgap, but making sure that there's another plan in place is really the important stuff, as well as altering the fare box position. The positions of the fare boxes are ridiculous. These are 21s, 22s, and 23s are all jammed up in the back corner. We can't even reach them back there. So, again, it's an equitable service of using it. I mean, if I go on the bus pass, I should be able to see what I've got left on the card. I should be able to see if I've tapped out and I need to go and load it again the next time, sort of thing. These are things that everybody else gets to access equitably.
Thanks.
Two more. No, I haven't looked at that. Cleaning under PMD positions. It's very sporadic. We find it's oftentimes the undersides of the seat when they're flipped up and the handles and the buttons are all very dusty. I just wanted to make a comment on the question that needs to be
Thank you for the comment, and the comment was specific about cleaning practices as it relates to a personal mobility device and the cleanliness surrounding where it's secured.
Okay, I got one more on the yellow strips. The 21 Nova series, the 22 Nova series up to the 40s, and the 23 New Flyer series all have yellow strips in inaccessible positions. So somehow in mid-22s, the design changed. Seats got sucked in further, we got more protection, and they were raised up. I don't know what exactly happened there. But the 21s, 22 and a halves, and the 23s, only something done with the yellow strips to make them more accessible, because we can't reach them where they are. So any plans on addressing those things?
I'm going to direct that question to Jeff, if you don't mind repeating the question. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Jeff Poljanski, Manager of Fleet Maintenance. I believe the question was regarding the touch tape yellow strips on the PMD locations for the different series. First of all, I wanted to start off that the numbered series on the units that you see as 2100s, 2200s, and 2300s actually come in different build series. So when we order buses from the vendors, you may see all 2200s, but there is a change in some build series sometimes. Our plan always is to continue with a consistent practice where a touch tape and everything is located and it is consistent throughout our entire fleet. Sometimes when dealing with the vendors and bringing units in, there are slight subtle changes that we need to be made aware of. If there is a slight change that needs to be looked at for the touch tape on a certain particular series of buses, we would be willing to look at that. I know we did have a few growing pains with the vendor changing over from our stainless steel cloth seats to our composite seats to make sure we got everything adequately the same and in the correct location. So I will take that point back about the gap in the series and review them to see if there's something that we could change to make them identical. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Do I have any? Yes, please go ahead.
Not a question, more a comment to go off of the touch tape. I find that even the ones I can reach, they're very difficult to actually activate, and a lot of times they don't actually activate when I think they did. So oftentimes the bus driver doesn't know that I'm trying to get off the bus because it doesn't fully press.
Thank you for that comment. So we've received additional feedback in regards to the touch tape or the stop buttons. So we will take that feedback. Thank you. I'm looking around the room for any additional comments or questions.
I'd just like to say that I've heard the term operator a lot tonight, and that's fine, but I believe that you all as management are placing a lot more responsibility on people who already have to deal with junkies and people who are out of their minds and mentally ill people. People get stabbed for asking for fares, so perhaps I would like it if you would consider making the drivers as responsible for all this extra stuff.
Thank you for the comments in regards to bus operator responsibilities.
I did actually have one I forgot to write down that was given by another member. The plexiglass barricades, is there any plans on removing those? Are you going to keep them up? Thank you for the question behind that.
So there's a question in regards to the removal or potential removal of the plexiglass doors that are beside the bus operator.
Jeff Poljanski, Manager Fleet Maintenance. As far as things are going right now, the plexiglass barriers are in play and will remain in play. We are actively looking at alternative solutions as these become more of a driver barrier concept rather than a temporary plexi barrier.
That was absolutely my last one.
Thank you.
Two more.
Yes, please go ahead.
I don't know if this is an issue with many people or not, but I've had it happen and I've heard somebody else too. Like, let's just say something happens to your wheelchair or scooter on the bus that it breaks down. Or on darts, I was told darts will not do anything. So what happens then? Like, and I've been told, I met someone once in another city, they have some kind of system, they have some other people that will come in and I guess get your scooter or wheelchair off and assist the person as well, because if you can't walk, if you have no limbs, have something to transport them. Like somehow have some connection, and then maybe a fee, maybe everybody has to pay a membership or a certain amount, if this happens, because you can be stuck. Like it's happened to me, a few times. Not that the bus driver is responsible for it, but, have some other company that would work together with DARTS and HSR bus. I'm just saying it's kind of far out there, but.
There's a question or comment in regards to a personal mobility device not being operational or working as expected while traveling with either HSR or DARTS. We'll take that comment into consideration in terms of a policy or a process when those incidents occurs, unless there's any additional commentary from my coworkers. Michelle Martin will make a few comments.
So Michelle Martin, Manager of Accessible Transportation Services. So thank you for the question about emergency assistance for personal mobility devices that are not functional. It's important to note that we do provide assistance that we can provide within the confines of policy, right? There's a limit to the level of assistance that we can provide. To your point, and I know that that's not what you're asking for, you're talking about a wider program that somebody could access. We have had some early conversations with emergency services and fire as our colleagues in the city to see about setting up some sort of standard operating procedure. We've looked at what other places are doing. There aren't many places that have something like that in place, and it does cost a lot of money. So there would be a lot of questions around how something like that. Yeah, it is a big thing to put out there, but I did want to let you know that it is something we think about. Okay, thank you.
If I could just further to that, the ACPD, one of the things we're working on is a wheelchair scooter breakdown plan. It's still in planning stages, but that is in the works. The ACPD, the group that I work with.
So James Kemp has commented that the ACPD is in the early stages or looking at very early stages in terms of looking at a process or a program specifically to address when a personal mobility device is no longer operational when traveling with HSR or transit. I'm looking around the room as one last attempt for any additional feedback or questions. So we are now concluding our live stream to provide an opportunity for those who wish to ask questions off air. A heartfelt thank you to our panelists, interpreters, live captioner, subject matter experts from DARTS and HSR, Cable 14, and everyone joining us in person and online. Thank you.
Look, I was going to say to Michelle, calling Dart's ahead of
Well, Scott, I'm coming.